Hi everyone, I feel like this video is so far overdue. Um, so today I'm just going to be giving you 5 tips for passing the UBE during COVID. I love YouTube, so I watched a ton of different videos of YouTubers that were talking about their experiences during the bar. Extremely helpful, but taking the bar exam during COVID is a completely different beast. There's a ton of restrictions that are in place as far as like studying goes. I know things are lifting now that we have the vaccine, but things were definitely different for me. I graduated in December. I took the February 2021 bar exam. It was UBE. So it was 200 multiple choice questions and two MPTs and 6 essays. I did take it one time and one time only, and I passed. Glory be to God and only Him. So I just wanted to give 5 quick tips on how to pass the bar during COVID, or what I did to pass the bar. I'm not an expert. The first thing that I would say is get into a routine. We are in COVID time, so everyone is kind of free to do whatever they want to do. You're free to go wherever you want to go. And it's difficult to it's difficult to do anything when you're not organized. So the first tip that I have is get into a routine. For me personally, I woke up every day anywhere between 5 a.m., 6:30 the latest, 7 on a bad day, but I try to wake up every day at the same time or within the same time frame. And I went to the gym, which I'll get into that later, but I had a routine. So there was a start time and an end time. Typically I started my day, I woke up at 5 or 6, but I started studying around 9 o'clock and went to probably 8 o'clock at night. And of course there was break times, there was things that I did in between those hours, but I was really head down grinding. So that first tip is to get into a routine. And then the second thing I did was I had friends. Obviously I graduated, so I had a lot of friends that were taking the February exam, and I had an accountability partner. I actually had a few. A lot more than the average person would, but I had a few accountability partners where we would send each other pictures of our progress. I personally use Themis, and I'll get into that in either another video, or if anyone has questions, I'll answer them. But I did use Themis. My completion rate was like 99%, and that was on my terms. But I did have someone that was holding me accountable and saying, "Hey, Kels, did you log in today? Did you study? What are you doing?" And then I would feel guilty. I had one friend who he would always send me his percentage, and I was like, crap, he's at like 30%. I'm at like 21. So it made me feel like if I wasn't doing it, there were people that were going to check in to make sure that I was on track. And then the third thing that I did that really was a game changer for me. I wish more than anything that I would have learned this early on. So I don't have my books with me. I gave them away to a 2L that's preparing next year. And I don't have any of my material. That was something I like rid myself of right after the exam. But every section has a subsection. We all know that. We all outline. We've all gone to law school, so we know the way the outlines work. You'll have criminal procedure, but then there'll be major topics within it. And then within those topics, there's subtopics within a topic. So what I learned like late in the game, and I wish I would have learned sooner, is to test myself on the subsections. Depending on what course you take, what supplements you'll use, which I can discuss in another video as well, you want to make sure that you're testing yourself not just on criminal procedure. You don't want to go through all of criminal procedure, get to the end, and then test yourself using Adapt-A-Bar or UWorld or any manual questions. You don't want to do that. You want to be testing yourself as you're exposing yourself to the material or re-exposing yourself. So if you were doing criminal procedure and you were doing stop and frisk, I should say, you want to test yourself on that topic in questions to see and gauge, are you retaining this material? Because the worst thing to do is to do all of criminal procedure, test yourself, and then be scoring a 20, and then you're looking through the sections and you're like, wow, I don't know any of these topics. I'm not good at any of them. You would rather know that and spend the time with the material. And also, if you don't know it and it's a smaller section, move on. I remember it was the second week of Themis, of bar prep, and I was going over property, and I could not understand rap to save my life. I was like, I'm going to fail this exam. I was crying. I was telling my friends I was going to quit bar prep. I was so discouraged because I couldn't understand for the life of me possessory interest, present interest, whatever. Fee simple, absolute, did not, like, I couldn't get it. And I got hung up, and the director of the program that I was using was like, Kelsey, move on. Focus on where the points are going to be. You may get 1 or 2 questions on the bar with rap. Move on from it. If it's not a huge topic and you're truly not understanding, move on from it and come back to it. So that's kind of 2 in 1, where you want to test yourself in the subsections, but you don't want to get hung up on them. So the next thing is number 4. Number 4 is what I believe was a game changer for me personally. I ate healthy, like extremely clean. In law school and in bar prep, it's so easy to we're stressed. We're running on 3 years of stress, pushing into 3.5 years with taking the bar, and you're just stressed out. And it's so easy to say, okay, I'll just go get some French fries, or I had a long day, let's get some ice cream. But we have to recognize that the foods we eat fuel our body and our ability to perform. I remember it was my first year of law school, first semester, and my torts professor said to us, for the exam, make sure you're eating the right foods to fuel your body. And I was like, what is this guy talking about? And I have pretty much been into fitness for a long time, but I was like, it's not that big of a deal. And I quickly realized that it is. Like, eating a pack of Twizzlers right before an exam was not my best bet. So throughout entire bar prep, I maintained a very healthy diet to just allow my mind to be where I wanted it to be. It sounds silly, but I'm telling you, eating like crap, you're gonna feel like crap, and it's going to be more difficult to perform and to maintain information. It's just the reality of it. And so part of the eating healthy is what I would say self-care and self-love. I'm not gonna lie, I did not neglect my self-care and my self-love during bar prep. I promised myself that if I was going to pass, it was going to be with grace, with peace, with joy, that I would not sacrifice my soul for this exam. And of course, there was days where I put in extra work. There was days when I was sad, but I had this sense of relief knowing that I will not take this exam burning myself out. I will not study 18 hours a day or like go crazy. In fact, I want to say for the first like 6 or 7 weeks, might even been 5, and you'll realize when you're in bar prep, it feels like forever. I took a day of rest. Every Sunday, I would listen to church. I would go for a walk. I would just do me on Sunday. Go get like a smoothie or just do something that wasn't bar related. I binge watched a lot of shows. I watched Your Honor. It's a great show, especially for us as future attorneys. I thought it was an excellent show, so I binge watched that. And I didn't lose myself in the process. I promised myself, God, if it's your will and your way, you'll allow me to go through this without having anxiety, without having a panic attack. If that's what it's going to take, I don't want it. If it's going to disturb my peace, I don't want it. And I say that to say that yes, you will have sacrifices. Yes, it will be hard. But for me personally, everybody else is different. I did not want to sacrifice my inner peace. So I really focused on going to the gym every day. That's excessive, not every day, probably every other day. I obviously logged off of social media, so I guess that can go 4/5. But I disconnected, and I picked one day a week to really focus on myself. I got my nails done. Like, I wasn't willing to put myself in the same space that I did while I was in law school. I'm like, I earned this, right? Like, I earned the ability to sit for this exam. We all went to law school for 3 years. You earned the right to sit in that chair, whether it's your computer desk at home because you're taking it online, or whether you're like me who went in person and sat down at a huge desk by yourself with a mask on. Like, we all have earned our right to take the exam. So take it, but do it on your own terms, and do it in a sense where you're not going to feel like you're defeated before you sit for that exam. Don't burn yourself out. It's not worth it, because then you'll take the exam, you'll feel like you failed, which I did as well, but you'll take it and you'll feel like you failed, and you may have just from burning yourself out. So I think self-care and self-love are so important. Daily walks, all that stuff. And I'm ranting and rambling about it, but that's number 4/5. I would say 5 is get off of social media, but I don't want to count that, because I feel like every single person knows when you're dedicating your time and energy to something that you really want, you have to eliminate distractions. So I guess I will give that 5. Eliminate distractions. No social media posts, no Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or Twitter or TikTok. Like, just get off of it and devote your time to studying. And then the last thing is 6. I guess now that I'm acquiescing that, yeah, it's 6. Don't overdo it. There are so many supplements, and I'm guilty of purchasing pretty much all of them. And I didn't use majority of what I purchased. So figure out what makes sense and use what makes sense. And you'll know, because a lot of the supplements are repetitive. For example, I had Kaplan cards, and I also had critical pass cards. They serve different purposes, but they're essentially different purposes in a sense that critical pass is literally an outline. Kaplan is shorter questions they seem to resemble more of what I believe a flashcard should be, where it's questioning, something simple, and then there's a simple answer. Critical pass is not simple answers or simple questions. It's literally an outline. So if you want a condensed outline on a card, that is critical pass. If you want to briefly test yourself on certain topics and have a single question with a small answer, that's a Kaplan flashcard. But I don't think you need both. Even though they serve, 2 different purposes, I don't think you need both. Because the reality of it is if you have that much time to be sitting down with flashcards upon flashcards, you probably shouldn't be doing it. I just hit my head and was like, who's knocking? So yeah, don't overdo it. There's also Adaptabar, and then I think there's like a Kaplan Q Bank, and then there's UWorld. Those are all the same things. And I had UWorld because it came with Themis, and then I had my friend's Adaptabar login. And I will tell you that the questions repeated themselves. I also had access to Themis's Q Bank. So the questions, they repeated themselves throughout those different platforms that I was using. The other thing I also got were the Emmanuel questions, which was a hard book. And I got that because I knew I was taking the exam in person and that I would have a physical copy. Some of those questions were on UWorld and were on Adaptabar as well. So don't overdo it. Be strategic with your purchases, because the exam in itself is expensive. All of the supplements are expensive. Be smart about what it is that you're choosing to use and how you spend your time with each of them. Going back, I probably wouldn't have purchased all of the things that I purchased for me, it was more so like a security blanket. And now that I know, I'm hoping that this saves someone some money because I wouldn't have did what I did. So those are my 6 tips. I will be posting, I guess, another video. It's going to be a different topic, but I'll save that for later. I'll post another video, but I am so excited. This video was so overdue. I found out that I passed on April 16th. It's April 26th now. But I cried, and I'll talk about that in another video. I cried for a solid, I don't even know, 20 minutes after. And I hope that everyone gets to experience that joy of passing. The weight that you feel that's lifted off of you is something that I can't explain, and that I know that everyone that has felt it and is going to feel it, you'll all know exactly what I mean. It's just one of the most beautiful moments in your life because you work so hard for that moment. And to just feel like, wait, there's nothing keeping me from my purpose. There's nothing keeping me from my career. Like, that's huge. So those are my 6 tips. Again, the first one is get into a routine. The second one is accountability. So have someone who's holding you accountable, or hold yourself accountable. Put a reminder on your phone if you're an introvert. The third is test yourself on subsections. And then the 4th is eat healthy, self-care, and self-love. 5 is eliminate distractions. I guess that's the bonus one. And then 6 is don't overdo it with supplements. So thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all of that stuff. I'll see you guys later.